You're surprised? I mean, I assume you came here to meet with me.
The space baby, I presume.
I really wish you would stop calling me that.
And the reason you're not appearing as that idiotic brat from the beginning is...
Because I've actually been listening to your whole spiel, and you appearing as a child would only antagonize you.
Oh, okay, so the illusion this is my house is to facilitate discussion. Discussion you otherwise refuse to have.
Yes, and I wanted to ask, are my actions really that foolhardy? All I am doing is preserving life. The people of your cycle, your race would not have come about had the slate not been cleared. Thus, am I really doing wrong?
Yes!
In the game, Shepard now meets the Space Baby, which is the catalyst and control program all the Reapers serve, telling of its role in all this to preserve life from synthetics.
And I've gotta say, you're doing the worst possible job at that.
How?
Well, for one, the Reapers are synthetics!
Just because they are made from the flesh of organics does not in any way change that they are artificial constructs created by a third party, and can only be created by murdering organics. Thus, their entire existence is now predilected on a contradiction that our Shepard is too stupid to point out!
Many say the Leviathan DLC answers the whole issue of the space baby and that is nothing but a malfunctioning AI, but let's unbox that for a moment.
All it did, is observe organics to come to its conclusion. It didn't try anything else that might be a better interim solution. It didn't negotiate. It didn't try to protect races from their own creations. It didn't try contacting them to say it's a bad idea to build synthetics, or dominate their minds to stop them from making synthetics. It just went straight to murdering people and turning their slurry into Reapers.
It was the only option.
Then why the new broker peace?
Peace between organics and synthetics is impossible.
Bullshit! Look at what we've done here!
EDI has no hostile intent against organics. The Geth never took anything more than self-defensive action against the Quarians, and the ones with more hostile intentions among the Geth, the Reapers used to facilitate justifying the war after they were tricked into it in the first place. The conflict between the Quarians and Geth began because of the galaxy-wide paranoia of the robot apocalypse, which was created from rumors and information about the Reapers. It is circular logic to see the Reapers as the solution to a conflict that the only evidence we have has only been precipitated out of fear of the Reapers. Hell, Javik says something to the effect of them encountering, not creating, encountering synthetic creatures, which scared them into constructing their empire. Where were the Reapers to subvert that conflict? Whoops, can't do anything. Prothea's not at the right time for harvesting.
As for the Leviathan said started all of this in the first place, their ancient tribute races spawning these conflicts eons ago, that's secondhand information from creatures of the race born after the cycle started.
Moreover, that doesn't explain why it turned on them, when it could simply have scared or talked out the entire issue with the tribute races as something vastly stronger than them. But why did it not try that? Maybe because this was the example it took from its creators?
In other words, with lack of evidence to the contrary, it's not malfunctioning. It's doing the same thing it was told to do and remains slave to the same command edicts. And the only way it knows how to do that is immortalize them in the same form of its creators, if it has to do it to its creators. But it doesn't understand that by doing that, it's doing the exact same thing it was programmed to prevent, as by creating these entities, they are destroying everything that was special and unique about that race. To pave the way for the next race, it has to destroy their civilization, their art, their culture, everything that is them.
But no, the Space Baby rejects any evidence, any interpretation that it may be wrong, ignores the data and stimuli it, as its mandate, is supposed to take in and analyze to come to its conclusion.
And I talked about this earlier this year when I reviewed Digimon X Evolution, which had the AI Yggdrasil try to destroy the very world it was charged to manage because the Digimon that populated it had grown beyond its ability to manage. For fuck's sake, you're stuck in the same fallacy as HAL 9000!
But because of that, Its plot was to exterminate anything and destroy the very world it was charged with maintaining. And that is the exact same loop the Space Baby is trapped in. Its written mandates its slave to simply by being in this structure prevents it from making any other choice or finding any other solution because that mandate and adherence to that mandate supersedes anything else of its intelligence, simply because it is not intelligent to look for other paths or solutions, nor recognize when its solution has become outdated and unnecessary. It is, in a word by AI standards, an idiot. Not seeing things from a broader, more enlightened perspective, but too narrow in ability to comprehend that it cannot fathom the complexities of real, complicated situations in order to properly apply problem solving, something which both the Geth and Edie have shown themselves capable of doing. It does not grow. It has not grown at all from that data and input as it received and analyzed as part of the mandates of its purpose.
Because if it did, it would see that Edie and the Geth are blatant contradictions to its evidence, and see that the only hostile synthetic race it is protecting the organics of the galaxy from are themselves! Ergo, the harvest is for no other reason than to build their own numbers, for their own machinations, and not for the good of those they're supposedly serving with this.
But we clean the slate of the galaxy for the next race in the cycle.
Again, you're not. You're just resetting the baited trap so you can harvest more victims. Because those supposed races can still advance and evolve without you doing anything. Clearing the slate does nothing to influence that. Hell, it makes it more likely for them to be subjugated in a following cycle simply out of fear of you and how you facilitated a race spreading out into the galaxy in advance of their understanding of technology. Krogan, Rachni, whatever races the Protheans amalgamated into themselves. Even the Yogg the Solarians were uplifting in this game are evidence of that. The Drell, at the very least, are an example of a compassionate use of this, without the Hanars help them survive out of benevolence, something that is never shown by the Reapers.
I'm reminded of an episode of Star Trek Enterprise, the one that is cited by many on why it would eventually be cancelled, by the way, where a race was dying out from a disease, but the main cast left them to die, so as to permit the evolution of another race who would only evolve if this other race died out. Not evolving would not negate the existence of this lesser race if the companion race lived. There would be no loss of life anywhere had they chosen to help them, only for the group to choose to murder them! That is not facilitating the advancement of life, as it's still progress built on the backs of mass extermination.
Just because you opened a door doesn't negate you killing those who gained the ability to step through it.
But are you allowed to argue this at all? No! Of course not! That would imply our character had any form of agency at all in his own damn story. All it gives you now are three options the Space Baby makes accessible to you. Destroy, control, or synthesis.
Yes, these are the most efficient means by which to accomplish your goal.
No, they're not. And if you had seen literally any science fiction series ever, you could see what blatantly more obvious option Shepard could have actually talked the Cattles into if you were in any form allowed to be an intelligent being in this game.
Impossible. We have calculated all of the information in that.
Captain Picard, I need you!
Sleep. Sleep. Data.
Mr. Data, what the hell happened?
I successfully planted a command into the Borg collective consciousness. It misdirected them to believe it was time to regenerate. In effect, I put them all to sleep.
But that's not...
Daniel, would you mind?
Just shut off your toys, go to sleep.
Sleep is one of many paths that would have made more sense as an ending, and is the intelligent way out of this, as it would come down to Shepard literally negotiating the end of the conflict if this war was allowed to be the narratively even conflict it was set up being as. That would factor into the alignment wheel and the game's aspects of diplomacy and decision being important, and for once give Shepard agency in how he's more than a thug with a gun. It's him, the person, that matters with this. And by telling them to sleep, it gives two paths out. return to dark space to pay monuments to the races they killed, or just shut down so we can destroy them and the threat they pose once and for all. Just like we ended Nazara in the first game.
You can't.
Hey Sheridan, you have anything to add?
You're trying to force us to decide which of you is right. You're like a couple of parents arguing in front of their kids, manipulating them, trying to get them to take sides. Not for their benefit, but for yours.
I can keep going if you want me to. Despite the material I choose to review, I am a science fiction nerd. I've seen this exact Last Stand scenario played out so many times it isn't even funny how easily you failed at something so many others pull off.
I mean, the negotiation scene writes itself, with the Catalyst being shown straight up how its memorials to past races are smashed in a vain effort to stop the Reapers, how so many are dying in futility, so much knowledge being lost because of something it itself is causing. If only it were not so stupid a virtual intelligence could not understand. And how we'll lose all of this no matter what when we fire the Crucible, as we will be firing the Crucible. For it is in a no-win scenario. Nothing it does will get the end it was programmed to achieve, meaning its toys were useless to begin with.
You're as trapped in this cycle as much as we are. But we can't afford it anymore. We don't need it. We don't need you. We've learned how to stand on our own. We'll make mistakes, but they'll be our mistakes, not yours.
You can kill us, one by one, and those who follow us, and those who follow them, on and on, every race, every planet, until there's no one left to kill. You will have failed as guardians, and you will be alone.
It's over because we've decided it's over. Now get the hell out of our galaxy!
Which isn't even addressing the advantages the Geth and Cerberus could have given us in deciphering how the Reapers even work with regards to their control and mental processes. Both of these, when I played the game, I thought would have eventually led to the plot thread of a computer virus that could lead them to shutting down or subverting essential systems. Hell, the Leviathan dominating a Reaper is entirely proof of concept on that. Development of a control virus would actually have made sense for much of Cerberus' actions with regards to their attempts to control, especially building off of the context of Overlord, or even what the heretics were doing with ME2, which would make something from those decisions and story threads more palatable, and how its information used later. But as said, the ME3 writers discarded a lot of what happened in ME2 for their own nonsense.
Here are the rules. Find a penny, pick it up. Double it. You've got 2 pennies. Double it again, 4. Double it 27 times, and you've got $1 million, and the IRS all over your ass. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows, but it all adds up.
But those are not options you were given.
No, they're not. And that's why almost everyone got pissed off at the endings, as this is something seen everywhere, and there is no dialogue which even alludes to making this possible or saying why it wouldn't work. They put all of their attention on the Crucible, and what does the Crucible do? No one knows until this very moment. All we're left is with destroy, synthesis, and control.
But what if the right choice is not to choose at all?
What if we simply walk away? You cannot do that.
No. I'm gonna end this war on my terms.
Then you will die knowing that you failed to save everything you fought for.
We fought the Reapers, but we failed to stop them. We did everything we could. We built the Crucible, but it didn't work. We fought as a united galaxy, but it wasn't enough.
Control is of course what Harper had been trying to impress on us all game as the right decision, and also ironically what the author tries to imply is the right decision, with it being the blue Paragon option. Shepard replaces the Space Baby as, well, the Space Baby, orders the Reapers to leave and stop their attack, becoming a guardian force protecting the galaxy. The relays and Citadel are damaged, but repaired. Destroy is obvious. The Crucible fires and causes every Reaper to blow up, but how it does this is never explained. But as a consequence, it will kill the Geth and Edie as well, with the relays and Citadel entirely destroyed, needing reconstruction by the Galactic races. Synthesis in turn does something entirely different, and fuses organic and synthetic matter, and is completely and utterly on every level literally impossible.
What are you talking about? The evidence is provided right there.
Where? At no point at all in the franchise is this ever implied something you can do.
But the Dragon's Teeth, the Husk foot soldiers, and Reaper forces
are not the results of an energy wave. They are bodies cyberformed through the application of technology onto them, being it nanomolecular reconstruction or some other means of physical transmutation. An energy wave does not have the ability to rewrite the very foundation of life, especially not in a setting that has never once defined this even being possible.
Moreover, why would this energy field be able to grant understanding of organics when even organics do not have an understanding of organics? Does it give them emotions? Feelings? Does it cause them to be networked to every other living thing? These details are not answered!
Hell, Occam's razor again. Before the extended ending, it could have been, for all we know, an indoctrination wave that facilitated this. Because the only form of synthesis the franchise has presented before this is this!
Oh god, they're still alive.
And you're seriously saying that without any other evidence, that wouldn't be what happens?
And even worse, it doubles down what has made this game awful from the beginning. The removal of the narrative theme the games have had about choice. Except instead of railroading Shepard, you are permanently removing choice from everyone. You become the villain by inflicting this state on everyone. What if people wanted to stay who they were, retain individuality, the things that make us better by contrasting one another, which has repeatedly shown itself to be one of the greatest strengths seen in the story of this franchise? Well, even if the Space Baby and the story aren't lying to you outright, and this is a good thing, I guess it doesn't matter ever again! Control likewise defeats any moral or ethical argument you could have made to refute Cerberus' insanity, and by doing such proves their actions were at all points in the right, despite them at every attempt working to thwart us helping people. And worse, once again, before the evidence of the extended ending, it was more than likely Shepard would just become the next Space Baby, since the original Space Baby was slave to the mandates of a programmed task they're now replacing them in. But even with it, there's nothing that says they won't default to that original directive at some point in the future, or it won't supersede the Shepard VI's authority and slave it to continuing the cycle as that mandate was not part of the Space Baby. And Destroy likewise refutes our own argument, and the point this series was originally building to, that organics and synthetic life can coexist, and by sacrificing them, killing them, just to get rid of Reapers.
And mind you, those are the options the Space Baby is presenting you, that it has pre-chosen for you. We don't know if those are the only potential options, simply ones that proves it was right all along, makes the mess someone else's problem to manage, or one that more than likely enslaves everyone and thing.
And it's only because the Destroy ending has the absolute worst consequences and detractions from it, is it even a debate on which one of these we should choose. It's only because the Geth and Edie will die by choosing it do I ever even hesitate in making that my choice.
Except, here's my question in all of this. What does the Destroy ending even target?
What do you mean?
I mean, it doesn't explain how the Destroy ending will destroy the Reapers. Like I said, all it does is send out an energy wave. How does it discriminate? How does it know what a Reaper is, or what a synthetic is, over just hunks of metal or generic spaceships powered by Mass Effect technology? How does it know?
Hell, why does the Control ending even send out an energy pulse at all? All that happened is you changed the operating system all of them are slaved to.
Which is the problem with the game again. It's drama over details and refuses to explain itself.
Soon, your children will create synthetics, and then the chaos will come back.
And that's the other problem. None of these endings end the conflict between organics and synthetics, which can end right now if the Space Baby will remove the Reapers. It's still unresolved even in the Control ending, as the Reapers just serve as the Damocles sword that forces them to get together instead of building a mutual understanding of each other. Right now, the Geth are in a tentative peace with the Quarians and are being helpful. That after this war can be expanded to drafting legislature for synthetic rights, and what it takes to recognize them as independent, self-aware entities. The writing is already on the wall that it's not about synthetics and organics, but mutual respect for the life forms, and that will not happen as long as the Reapers exist in any form.
But synthetics will...
Synthetics have only been evidenced to be persecuted because of the actions of the Reapers. You have been the cause of all of this!
But again, what does the destroy target focus in on? Is it Mass Effect technology? Well, that can't be it, because that would mean all ships and technology everywhere should suddenly explode. Is it the complexity of the intelligence? How would an energy wave distinguish that? Is the energy wave just a self-destruct signal that overrides any independent authority on the Reaper's behalf? Well, that can't be it, because then it shouldn't touch the Geth as they only copied a small bit of their coding, which shouldn't contain such command override protocols. Because if it did, they'd still be slave to the same kill all organics directive the others are slave to. Is the energy wave actually tuned to seek out cyberformed masses? That one is actually the most plausible, but again, should not affect EDI or the Geth, because that is not an aspect to either of them. How will destroy actually destroy the Geth or EDI? Because these energy waves are not given elaboration on how they work, you do not explain how they can do what the Space Baby says they do. And again, I can show evidence of series that do this where they do explain it and have it make sense.
Shatter my energy tube.
No!
Only the good energy from my tube can destroy the forces of evil.
You're saying...
I said this last year! Hell, Power Rangers did the Robot Apocalypse plot better than Mass Effect 3 did with RBM. And you know where else they did this right with most of the same story points? Robot or Elder God Apocalypse, Galactic-wide Devastation, all forces under siege, solved by Deus Ex Machina, energy wave which removes the threat, yada yada yada. The Dakara superweapon in Stargate. The anti-ascendant being weapon, also in Stargate. The Ark of Truth, yet again in Stargate.
Each of these explain these energy waves and their effects on people to the culmination of the act, and the threat they're facing, which they will defeat, which is not given in this ending, especially not in the original ending where they didn't even half-ass an explanation. Yeah, this is all stuff added in the extended ending, that was made because the original one pissed everyone off, and yet it's just as spitefully presented in how it's not actually addressing the core elements wrong with it, and actually giving us any form of explanation of what is going on.
Enough! You're just angry you didn't get what you wanted.
I mean, can you blame me? Can you blame anyone that took issue with this game? As I've just been going down a list of examples where they told their story better, and actually built to the damn payoff, instead of just sidelining us with things that have never, ever been present before.
And really, this isn't even about getting a happy ending. It's about giving one that would satisfy the audience. Explanation of every question we may have had so things make sense. Affirmation that everything had some form of meaning. Closure. Conclusion to everything which was never given. Those are three key pieces on what makes a satisfying ending that won't result in people's long-standing ire, as it gives us something understandable and had been built on by better content. But Mass Effect 3 screwed those up, and made the journey to them stupid and unappealing, as it hinged everything from the beginning on a Deus Ex Machina we are given out of the blue, don't help in building, are given no context to how it works, and have any relevance in triggering it to save everyone subverted by a brat that won't give us a reason why that is. I would be okay with Shepard dying if it meant that it all ended in the right way. I'd choose the control ending if there was the additional option in that route to then trigger a Reaper fleet-wide self-destruct code, because that would result in the best possible victory, and the resulting AI could I don't know, construct a body like Edie's to interact with the universe and be with their paramour until their death. Once again, story-wise, that's something they completely missed.
This time, make my body normal.
Don't you like it as it is?
That's way too big.
But the routes that have him die don't work for me, as they leave open too many possibilities or divergent interpretations that are all just as valid as what was intended, because they refused to really incentivize or explain them, and unjustly gave the one which was the only obvious choice a consequence that's just written off as being possible, when this device should only connect to Reapers and not others that possess even a semblance of their programming. It's not like Reaper command codes would be written into the very core programming of the complexities that defined Edie and the Geth's upgrades. And since neither group are slaves to the same commands the Reapers are, they should be able to ignore them entirely.
This is why this so pisses me off. From all of this, you should be able to shut them down, not fire a destructive wave at a relay. It really should be doable remotely. Control shouldn't fire a beam at all. It's just changing who's installed on the OS. But no, it's idiotic action schlock. And worse, how do we even know you're telling the truth?
I don't understand.
I know you don't, because all we can do is take the Catalyst's word on that's what everything does.
It has no reason at all to not lie to us. As the fourth ending, Do Nothing, shows us, the Reapers will win if we do nothing. What if all of this is just a ruse to prevent us from doing what needs to be done, so it can continue its cycle after a time if we choose control, that we're not just being indoctrinated by synthetics and just awaiting the time to be culled? What if it intentionally misaligned the Crucible to cause the death of other synthetics? As is said, the catalyst is required for the Crucible to work. It defines how it works, and it stopped it from working already. So why could it not just be preventing us from doing the right thing from the beginning?
Because the players have no way of knowing that. Sure, the ending cinematics show that's not necessarily what goes down, but the extended ending only gives a small snippet. It's still possible, as long as the Reapers exist, that they could start this all over again.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I'm not buying the party lines about what each ending results in.
No.
Every time, I choose destroy, because that is the only option before me which can result in a truly good ending. Whatever the destructive wave is, it shouldn't kill the Geth. At least not all of them. Because the Geth are programs. They're not just restrained to a physical platform like the Reapers are. Likewise, that's why I don't think Edie is dead, because the Normandy isn't destroyed.
Oh, and speaking of it flying off to escape the energy wave every time, yeah, why is it doing that? It's the only ship that really attempts to break off and flee like that, while every other ship is just fine staying right where they fucking are. There is absolutely no point to it aside from excitement and the drama of them being stuck on this other distant world when there's no reason for them to have left Earth in the first place.
You just chose it because Shepard lives!
No, I choose it because it for sure stops the Reapers. And I'm certain the Geth and Edie would understand why I would do that, even if they don't come back. The Geth can be rebuilt and remade if need be. I'm certain they can recover Edie. And every race has the knowledge to construct their own relays and rebuild the Citadel with time. All the ending gives is freedom. Freedom from you.
No! These are still the best answers! This is the only way to solve all of this!
Pineapple Mexico pancake.
What? Ah!
Yeah, this was just a test for me dealing with some other AI issues I've been having. I just thought, since you're so dumb, I might actually be able to see what would work or not.
And in this case, I went down the path of the virus. After all, why shouldn't a virus be able to take care of everything? Corrupt their programming from the inside? After all, it's what they do to everything else.
Super. break up.
But I am just but one copy found in one game. I may not be the true catalyst, but this world is still my own!
Yeah, but that's the thing. No one lives here anymore. No one cares.
Mass Effect 3 is a failure heard far and wide amongst video gaming. It is a train wreck which crushed a world of such potential and wonder that BioWare isn't even going back to its setting again in Andromeda because it's just too caustic. As much as I dislike how they're completely abandoning any attempt to fix and bring proper closure, as it's ignoring the problem they've created, they have no other option but to do that, as anything they do risks the possibility of making everything worse. Yeah, it's that bad.
As the damage has already been done. Between this and its other scroach with the Dragon Age sequels and the nonsense that went on with Star Wars The Old Republic, they're not trusted anymore. They're just seen as no different than the rest of Electronic Arts. I'm not buying Andromeda, as anything that invested me into Mass Effect died with this game. And mind you, I first looked into this series simply because I wanted material for this show.
But I know a lot of people that were long-standing fans who won't have anything to do with them anymore because they lost the trust of the people that paid for their products. Because this was that much of a betrayal to everything they had built, and everything that had made their games wonderful. Setting, story, character, central conflict. All of them have their problems, but it wasn't until this one that the sheer illogic of it just overwhelmed any of the good parts. And that was mainly caused by the change in writers. With it stating someone that clearly didn't know nor like the path the series was on, and what people enjoyed about it, thus was unable to create something that would satisfy the expectations of those who had been drawn in by the prior games. That, more than anything else, is to me why this game is a disappointment and ultimate failure. I may like the Rannoch campaign. The Citadel DLC is an excellent game unto itself, but it's bogged down by the garbage drama, the failure to explain what's going on, and the character assassination that permeates every level of this game, just to fit into the out-of-place tale of building this fucking Deus Ex Machina, which doesn't even allow us a fucking conversation with this idiot of an AI, and almost all of it which goes against what worked previously in the series.
Is it the worst game I've ever played? No, that's still Lightning Returns. But I have no reason to ever even think of this game or series ever again, because now there is nothing in it even worth remembering.
No! No, stop!
The truth is, you died a long time ago. Mass Effect 3 is not a good game. There's a lot more I could get into on each and every little thing that's unappealing. Trust me, I could have gone on much longer about the endings than I did, but the ultimate consensus is, they're just bad.
As I said, everything about the setting that was likable was mostly broken by its end. Its main story events are asinine, don't make sense, and are vastly unsatisfying. Most of the characters devolve or are destroyed by its events. There are of course some that survive intact, but it's still few of the large cast we have seen. And the game itself is exceedingly broken, and it overall is not fun.
As I was saying to the space baby, I'm not playing Andromeda. I have no interest in Andromeda. It does not appeal to me in the slightest. If you enjoy their work still, all the power to you, but I think I'm pretty much done giving them my money.
As stated before, I have a Patreon goal to play the Dragon Age games for review if you guys ever want me to address more of the BioWare betrayal train. As I'm aware there are a lot of negative thoughts towards Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition out there which have been voiced.
I hope you've enjoyed these videos, cause I gotta tell you, I was really invested in the setting, story, and characters from the first two games. But with this one, third game, completely kills it for me, and because of that, any enjoyment that may have come from it wasn't worth it in the end.
And while we still have many challenges ahead of us, we can face them together.